Welcome, one and all. Start recording now, please.
Recording.
Welcome, one and all, to 1890, the heart of the British Empire. Queen Victoria sits on the throne. The widowed queen, her various children, heads of state of other parts of Europe. London is the hub of the empire. Huge metropolis. 10% of the entire population of London living in these smog-bound streets, ranging from the fabulously wealthy to the perishingly poor. Our protagonists were all members of the Fabian Society. A bunch of almost Trotskyite type left-wing agitators, according to the establishment. It's people thinking about who are more concerned with enlightenment and improving the lot of mankind and womankind. They're in Regent Street, the Fabian Society. The people here all know each other, and there is a doorman there who is well known to all of you as well. I'll give you an opportunity for you to all introduce yourselves to each other. So who do we have?
I'm happy to start. You have Alfred James, who is your doorman. So Alfred is very much as a doorman as you would expect. He's always very polite, decent to any folk that come through. Knows his place. Knows that you guys are the elites who.
Well, they're the middle. They're the middle class.
Oh, the middle class.
They're the middle class. These are the educated, the professionals, the aspiring to be upper class.
Of course. So Alfred, he sees you guys as the patrons of this place. He's always decent and polite to all of you. Treats you very well. He's a doorman who rarely ever has, obviously, an establishment like this to have to bounce anyone out the door or anything. But he's quite a big guy, and you feel like maybe he has the capacity to do it if he had to. And he keeps his out of your way most of the time and does whatever is needed of him.
Okay.
I'll go next. So I am Edgar Shaw, a middle-aged man, physician, who is currently working for the Inland Revenue, keeping our food safe in these industrial times, working under the department, the prevention of the adulteration of food. He absolutely loves his job. He takes it very seriously, despite his authoritarian work. I guess I can say outside of that, he fits in right at the society with his thoughts and opinions. Always dressed in a smart three-piece suit. Today it's a navy number, complete with a perfectly black-handled bar mustache.
Fantastic.
Very good. I'll go then. So Eddie Phillips is a sort of average height but very amply built gentleman, about 30 years old, very timid, very quiet, but has got a special interest, shall we say, in all things electrical and chemistry. Works in the recently opened Edison Electric Light Station, providing clean power to London.
And lastly, Marshall McKinney.
Yep, Marshall McKinney, he's a sort of middle-aged writer, having been brought up around Bloomsbury in London, seeing all the sort of other writers going on. That's what we decided to do. However, he likes to do it with mystery novels and he's sort of interested in all the antiquities coming in from the rest of the empire. So he's normally sitting there, scribbling in a little book. He's normally dressed in a slightly ill-fitting suit, and normally keeps it to himself.
Okay. So wealth is very important in this society. So just give a ballpark what your credit ratings and things are. So sort of a decile, so 40s to 50s, 10s to 20s, 30s to 50s, 80s to 90s.
50.
Same 50 for Marshall.
Yeah, 40 to 50.
Okay.
Oh, you rich gits. 15 for me.
So you have enough to live well. Probably have one or two staff at home. You aspire to be more. But this is the Fabian Society is a place you come to discuss new ideas. Who's the electrician? Is that Alfred?
Eddie.
Sorry?
Eddie is very proficient.
So Eddie, so you
all
remember the
things-
Royal Society as well. Some of your patents have been laughed at by such as Marconi and what have you. Although Tesla has been quite interested in some of them. You are discussing the world over a glass of brandy. It is the autumn of 1890. London is prone to fogs, but a very dense fog has come in. Very cloying. It's the smog from all the coal fires has congealed into this, turning this into an orangey-yellow soup. To the extent that when you're out of a building, it's hard to even see the hand in front of your face. The postman comes to the door of the Fabian Society. Drops some letters off. There is one addressed to a Marshall McKinney. The doorman, because they're short of staff today, because people haven't been able to get in because of the fog. The streets themselves are actually quite quiet because of this, and everything's very subdued. Alfred James is asked to deliver the post to you, to various other people, and then finally to you, Marshall.
Yep. I'll gladly take it from him. Thank you very much. Obviously, I'll give a little tip.
Oh, thank you.
So you have a letter, which is in the thing at the side. You can open letter 1, it says.
Yeah. Yes, letter 1. So, dear Marshall, I knew I could find you at the Fabian Society. I implore you aid. I implore your aid. Sorry, my aunt Gertha Schwartz has died in unusual circumstances. She was the last of the Schwartz of the class industry name. I am the sorry, they're really struggling to read that on my screen. Inheritance of the estate. The authorities say that it was through hysteria due to the influences of unholy activities, but there is something wrong here. I know of your interest in the occult and request your assistance looking into this matter. Auntie died dabbling with the Swanses and like that, but I fear a more mundane explanation. Helmet, that cool.
So shall I read it? Helmet Crab. So it says, Auntie did dabble with seances and the like, but I fear a more mundane explanation. Helmet Crab, a distant relative, may be after her inheritance. This means I may not be safe. If you can disprove the occult nonsense, then I can go to the authorities with my concerns. I am at Ayotte House, Air St. Lawrence, Hertfordshire. I implore your Christian values to help me as my parents once helped you. Best wishes, Miss Eleanor Marleybone.
Yep.
You know of her parents. They were patrons to you in your early days when you were a struggling writer in London. How old is your character?
41.
41. So you know they'd had a couple of children. You probably didn't meet Eleanor, or if you did, she was out of the way. But she, from the sounds of things, she has come into inheritance. Could you all? Are any of you industrialists?
Nope.
Okay, so could you all of you make it just an education roll for me, please?
Yep.
So who got an extreme success? Eddie Phillips. Eddie.
Yes.
So you know of the Schwartz Glass Empire. With extreme success, this is a company that maybe 30 or 40 years ago was very, very successful. And it produced exquisite blown glass and also beautiful, beautiful mirrors. The glass sold all around the world, and with us 13, you remember that the newspapers were full of the demise of this once mighty glass empire. They had invested heavily in mirrors, but they used old technology, and the new technology came forward, the silverback mirrors, and the Schwartz Glass Empire went into decline. That's as much as you can remember. So they're more collector's pieces and curiosities now. They don't make that much stuff anymore.
Cool. Okay.
So you're sitting there, Marshall, with these people around you, and you read the letters yourself and then aloud to them all.
Yep.
It is sort of late in the day here. The fog is dense, and you feel you may even have to stay here in the evening. There are rooms in the Fabian Society for such an event. The building's actually relatively sparsely populated at the moment because most people didn't come here because of the dense pea soup. You don't really want to be out. It's not good for the constitution. And one of you is one of you a physician?
Yes, that would be me.
Sorry, who's that?
Edgar.
So Dr. Edgar Shaw is a physician. You know that the soupy smog causes consumption of the lungs.
Be terrible to be out there, he says as he's smoking his cigarette. Or his pipe, rather, I guess, back then. Chuffing on his pipe. You don't want to go out there and breathe that stuff in. Terrible, terrible stuff.
Yes, certainly. And
you have a magnificent cherry wood pipe. It's actually, smoking is very good for you. You've heard that. It has been said.
Exactly. If this smoke protects the lungs out there, but unfortunately, unless you guys partake, I'm afraid it would be a terrible idea for you to go outside in this hour.
Well, it's pretty comfortable in here. I think we can stay a while.
Is Alfred with them, or is he back at the front door?
He's back at the front door at the moment.
Okay, very well.
So you're having to multitask because most people haven't got in because of the smog is so dense and heavy.
Right, yeah, absolutely. If I needed to come inside to wait tables or something like that, as you know, if the manager asked it of him, he would.
The actual doors are closed, and gentlemen, the evening draws on, and the smog is dense. I fear for your well-being if you went out into this without good cause. I would suggest you. And this is one of the pursers of the Fabian Society. I would suggest that you make use of our facilities here tonight. Hopefully this fog will disperse by tomorrow.
Out of interest, what day of the week is it?
It's a Wednesday.
Okay, no problem. That's fine. Good to know.
There are other people there as well. There was who's the author? Marshall. Marshall, you see in a table in deep discussion, Sir George Bernard Shaw having a heated discussion with somebody.
Yeah, Marshall's ear will be tweaked, listening in a bit.
Okay. And just
obviously doing it subtly, so hopefully it's not sort of obvious, but he's going to try and listen.
It's a very animated discussion about prose. It's rather esoteric.
Yeah.
So you know each other vaguely. This has come up. So the building is going to be closed down for this evening. Alfred, you can. The management aren't so keen for you to stay because you're a bit of the riffraff, but we do need the staff, you know. So you could stay here and be on beck and call. Particularly, there's a couple of 3 gentlemen there who are going through brandy at a fair rate of knots, and one of them is smoking a large cherry wood pipe.
Yes, sir. Of course, sir. I'll see to them.
Okay. So, Marshall, you have this letter.
Yep.
You have no commitments at the moment. The time is your own. It is late in the evening. You can do little at the moment. You may wish to discuss this with your new colleagues. Maybe something they'd be interested in.
Yeah, I'll certainly sort of run it by them.
I mean, you've known each other as a little group in the Fabian Society for perhaps a couple of years, so you all know each other. You are, you're not good friends, but you are of good acquaintances, and you know that one of the currencies in Victorian England is do a favour for somebody, they will do it for you.
Yeah.
Give somebody a leg up, they'll give
back.
you. Yeah, you'll get. You want to help those that you can, particularly with the Fabian, which is almost like a left wing think tank, the Fabian Society.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be going on about how if she's been dabbling in this, it could give me ideas for my next book. You know, I'm
unusual
interested in the occult.
circumstances.
Yeah, it's always interesting. You know, murder mysteries. You know, I always need ideas for new books.
I suppose it's as it always is with these sort of things. Industrial, it's money related most likely, or some sort of plot within the industry to get one over on the competition.
And I've been trying to get this radical idea of the butler did it in my books.
Huh. No, I don't think anyone will believe that. They love their jobs.
So to rush things along, you can stay here the night. And Alfred, you have asked to wait on them, and whilst you're here, for a small fee from the others, you can be their manservant whilst they are there. The following morning, you all sleep well. The smog is still dense. The smog is in the air. If you open a window, it's almost like the wall of fog comes in. You smell the coal smoke of the industries of London.
Fresh morning air.
Yes, the sooner we move away from steam, the better.
Alfred would be busying himself, basically taking any orders you may have to give. If you guys were after any kind of breakfast or anything like that, he would organise and make sure you were well tended. Okay,
and you can do so. So Alfred is looking after you as well as he can. He's clearly not a waiting man. You can see his shirt and trousers are a bit threadbare, as are his shoes. And there's scuff marks on his elbows, but he does the best he can.
Yep.
So you.
So, Marshall,
Sorry, carry on. Yeah.
do you intend to follow up on this letter?
If you don't, it's going to be a short night.
Yeah. Well, I've got nothing else to do, so yeah, as I said, I'm sort of in a bit of a writer's block at the moment. So yeah,
Well,
something to do.
Well, I'm
Unfortunately, I'm on a couple of weeks' leave.
yeah, I'm free from commitments. I'm still waiting on parts to arrive. So yeah, if you'd like some company, I'd be happy to tag along.
Indeed, company will always be welcomed.
Well, we to remind people on your character sheets, if you succeed with a roll, and I've told you that that's the success roll, there's a little box that you tick next to it. Because at the end of the session, then you may advance that thing that education doesn't count, but for things like listening rolls and all that sort of thing, if you succeed, you can advance them. Just remember that.
I think that's like the little circle thing next to like a praise, for example. You've got a little circle.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah.
Cool.
It doesn't for education that doesn't count, but for the skills it does.
Yeah.
Okay.
There are Alfred, in this P Super you would struggle to get transport. There are a few cabs out there, but very few. They are trying to do their business, but the horses are struggling. The drivers are struggling in this heavy fog.
Yeah. I assume the establishment doesn't have anything like that I could organise for the gentleman.
Do the gentleman wish to organise a cab?
It'd be better than walking out there.
Yes, I agree.
So it would cost it will cost a little bit to actually get a cab. The Air St Lawrence is in Hertfordshire. It is a train journey out, but it may be quicker just to get a handsome cab there if you can get a driver to take you.
How much more than a train are we talking?
Oh, well, Air St Lawrence is probably in the middle of nowhere, but it's probably it's a fair distance from the nearest train station. The main line out of King's Cross, that's a new built station, which is fantastic. Which goes up north. It will go near Watford, and then you may have to take a sub train from there, or take a cab from that point. Remember, there aren't good road networks in the country at the moment, but there are in the home counties. There are reasonable road networks to get about.
I don't suppose anyone has a carriage or a vehicle.
Not to hand, I'm afraid.
Ah, my good man. And Sir George Burnshaw comes along. I hear you after a carriage. You are fellow Fabians. I have not had the honour. Let me introduce myself. I am Sir George Bernard Shaw. You've probably heard of me. And you all have.
Indeed,
he's a famous literate.
Yeah. Marshall's going to be sort of a little bit trying to act normal, but sort of, there's bloody words off my head.
As a fellow Fabian, I hear you need for carriage. I do have a carriage which I could lend out to a fellow Fabian, who is of good note, and if you're in our society, then you have of good character, if you have been let in. We all do help each other. We are all of one. We're all fellow men. A brotherhood of man, so to speak. I like that. That sounds good, doesn't it? I may consider that. I'll bet that Oscar Wilde has already used that, hasn't he? Dandy. Anyway, I could lend my carriage to you, but you would need to hire a driver, because unfortunately I do not have one.
Begging your pardon, sir, I could probably help there.
Alfred. Yes, you probably could. I have seen you drive carts before. I see you down the docks occasionally helping out there as well. Yes. I could lend you my cart for a nominal fee to a charity of good order, of course. Maybe the Methodist Church or something similar. So, if you for a donation of £5 to the Methodist Church, which between you can scrape together without changing your credit rating, you can hire the coach. But I would ask that you do not damage this coach. Where are you trying to get to?
We are trying to get to Ayot House in Hertfordshire.
Oh, I know that area. I live close by myself. Ayot House, you say?
Yes.
Ooh. Interesting. That has a ill humour to it. I do not know the residents there. I have only been shortly residing in the area, but I know my servants will not talk of that place. When I've invited the dowager to come, she will not come. There's a rumour the place is haunted, which is tosh, as you know. I think people are reading too much of Mary Shelley's work or Byron. But it does keep the fanciful minds working. But
yes, there's a bit of a writer's block at the moment, so hopefully this will help. I'll go poke around.
Well, as you know, you know, sometimes the writer's blocks are unblocked by the most unlikely things. You know, like being stuck in a thunderstorm on vacation for 2 weeks. You can create many a story there, which take the world by storm. But you may find something here to your liking, I suppose. But yes, just beware. And if you could drop off a letter to my house, which is, and it gives you the address to where his house is. In which is just happens to be relatively close by. But I think you'll find it difficult to find local help who will come and join you at Ayot House. I forget what these character sheets look like. Could two of you make a psychoanalysis rolls for me?
That is definitely not me.
Yeah, better not be me.
Same.
Psychoanalysis. Yeah, you don't want me doing that.
I think we're all just as bad. Should we just agree 2 of us?
Yeah, sure. Go on then. I'll do one.
I'll do the other.
Alright.
Perfect.
Okay, so that's fine. It's remarkably generous of him, and he has asked for a donation to a worthy charity. He has proffered the Methodist Church, but it could be one of your choice. I would like the carriage back in good time, if that is all right.
Certainly.
Well, it's been a pleasure meeting you, my fellow Fabians.
Likewise.
And so you...
Marshall will certainly sort of do a little bow and all that.
Okay, so you have acquired a transport, a cab, and the cab is brought out from a central courtyard in the Fabian Society. The horses that belong to Sir George Bernard Shaw are there, and are hooked up. They are struggling to breathe in the fog. There are almost like masks put over their face to try and keep some of the fog out, the smog. But they are struggling a little bit with that. Alfred, you can take the reins. The rest of you are really not really provisioned for this. You could drop in at a local store and get some things that you need if you wish.
I'd just say the standard provisions, right, would be what we would.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have had them going to the
Take those.
Fabian Society.
No.
Okay, so you can just basically have the stuff that you want with you at the moment. I'm not going to be too prescriptive on that. You can drop off and get some stuff. Alfred, you can't because you have no money.
That's fine. Did I tell you that I usually travel with an assault rifle?
AK-47.
Minigun.
It's a standard weapon that Alfred always has.
Okay.
For ne'er-do-wells, that is.
Okay, fair enough. So, Alfred, you get on the back of their handsome cab. The rest of you squeeze in. There's just about room enough for 3 of you in there. And the horses are G'd up, and you clatter out into the street. It is hard visibilities, even though it is morning. The sky is very grey. It is twilight. The gas lights are lit, even though it's during the day. Smog is heavy. There's an eerie glow from the lights. You follow them out of central London, but very rapidly it becomes darker. Has anybody... Alfred, you probably don't know where to go. Do you have any skills that would help you navigate?
Any skills that would help me navigate?
Do any of you have any skills that would help you navigate? So, navigation skill.
Very, very little in the navigate skill.
Me too.
Okay, so somebody's going to have to make a
Well,
navigate
there's
roll.
nothing like-
You have a map, so you have a bonus dice for that.
I have more than one.
Well, I've got 10.
Yes.
So
Yeah, I think we're probably all about the same. So again, I don't think it really matters.
Okay. You do get a bonus dice. In fact, because it would have been a automatic, but because it is so foggy. Actually, what I'll say for Alfred, you can either make a choice between a drive carriage skill or a navigate skill. Your choice.
Oh, drive carriage, definitely. Let's.
Okay, and you get a bonus dice because you have the map.
Okay.
Alfred, take it slow, okay? This isn't our carriage, so I'd rather we get there in one piece a little bit later than expected.
Of course, sir. Drive carriage, just try not to kill everyone then.
He revs it.
Do I
You
just hit the...
got a
Scotland.
bonus dice, so we hit the button that says bonus at the bottom. So your bonus dice is a 1, so you got a 13. On your character sheet, when it says roll options, if you hit the one that says verbose, it will do all of the numbers. I think you've probably done that already, actually.
That's right. Yeah.
So that bonus dice, that's a 10 rather than a 7. It's a 10 rather than a 70. So that's a 13 you've got.
Okay.
So that will count as a hard success.
Does that mean I get to tick my box?
You get to tick your box. Yep.
Oh, look at that!
And so you get out of the city. The fog is dense, but as you leave central London, it becomes less polluted, and just becomes cold. It is autumn, and you are getting cold and damp, sitting in the back. The rest of you are snuggled under blankets. And hansom cabs are open at the front, but they are. You can keep yourself relatively free from the elements. It takes much of the day travelling towards Hertfordshire and the country lanes. As you drive down them with the cab, the hedges on both sides and the trees sort of like tower over you. There is a dense fog here. Has anybody got natural world skill?
a little.
A little.
A little.
Nope.
So,
We're so inept.
so 2 of you can roll natural world skills.
Who feels up to be the second?
Marshall
Yeah.
fails.
Oh, go on then. I'll try.
Hey.
No.
No,
Okay.
no.
So the fog follows it, and it sort of drifts around, and as you drive through it, Alfred, it just wafts around you. The difference here is the cloying smell of smoke and soot is out of the air, and the horses are relatively happier here. You have a map. You go to Sir George Bernard Shaw's house, and you drop in the letters that he wished you to do so. One of his servants takes the letter to his household, thanks you, and it says, "Oh, you have the master's coach.
Yes, sir.
Do you wish to in his good books? Do you wish to use his facilities, facilities for the evening, or do you wish to be on your way?"
I will check with the gentleman.
It has been a very long day.
You're probably about 5 miles away from our house.
How late
we
in
don't
the
know what
day is
condition
it?
it's in, though, do yeah. Yeah, that's a question. How late in the day is it, Dim?
It's probably about 4 o'clock. It's autumn, so you probably got another. You could get there before sundown.
But likewise, could we
Probably
get back? It turns out the place is run down and
Uninhabitable, yeah. I'm sure we
But
could.
you were asked. If you look at your letter, you were asked. This is where you were asked to go there from.
well, I don't mind continuing on.
I'm sure it'll be okay. Yeah, let's continue on. I'd say let's continue on for now. I'm sure it'll be okay.
Very well.
And
What's
then
the
they
worst
all
that
died.
And they all died exactly that. So you continue driving on. By the way, you can all access that letter if you wish to review it again.
Good.
And you get to the house. If it works. You get to the house. Just as a...
I'm the fog's very dense here.
Can you see?
All I can see is a block of fog.
Is that all you can see?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
How about now?
There we go.
Yep.
Because I didn't
Let's
update.
get through
A
the
hat.
See,
House,
you
yes.
are a hat. You are a top hat. So you see a house there. There was no carriage there. There was a singular light in one of the downstairs rooms. Place is very quiet. The trees are dripping fog off them, and the level just floats. Little eddies blowing in the very slight breeze that there may be. Do you go up to the door?
Might as
Yep,
well.
after you, Marshall.
Thank you kindly.
So, Alfred, you're left with the carriage now. There are stabling facilities here you have seen as you come up. So there's a large driveway. All you can see is almost like these ghost-like trees on both sides as you drive up the driveway. You can see as much as you can. The fog is not as dense here as it was in London. So you can see that the ground is unkept. The grass is overgrown. The flower beds have not been kept. Many of the flowers have not been cut back for the autumn. There are weeds growing up through the gravel of the drive as you trundle along, and they crunch under your wheels as you get to our house. You get to the door. You knock on the door, Marshall.
Yep.
And you hear from inside, I'm coming. And then you hear a female voice, and the door opens. On its hinges, it creaks. Not been oiled for some time. And inside, you see the tired-looking face of a young woman. Hello, can I help you?
Hello, my name's Marshall. I was summoned here to help investigate the
Mr.
death
McKinney.
of. Yes,
Mr.
yes.
McKinney. Oh, so good. I'm Eleanor. Eleanor Marley.
Hello.
Miss Eleanor Marleybone. I need. It is improper for you to be visiting on me, but I didn't know who to turn to. My mum and papa. I know they spoke of you and your works. Many a time, and I've even read one of your books. Very interesting.
Oh, very good.
And I know you're
Hope you
interested.
enjoyed it.
Please come in out of the fog. It's cloying and gets everywhere.
Certainly, I have some companions with me if that's okay, and I'll.
Oh, please come in.
Eddie
I have not had companionship for some while, and she brings you in. And inside it's very Spartan. You go into a living area. There's a large hall, and you can see in this space. And Alfred, you bed down the horses and you park the carriage, and then you come in.
Yep.
You can see that the hall area, there's some spectacular pieces of glasswork, glass vases, and blown glass, something like the Venetian stuff, in the hallway, and you can see lots of mirrors, but they've all had drapes, sheets pulled over them. Though you all know this is traditional in Victorian households. If there's a death, you cover there's a concern that about if somebody dies, you got to cover mirrors. Could you make an occult roll for me, please, Marshall?
How the hell did I fail that?
You didn't fail it.
Oh, it didn't scroll down. Sorry, yeah, success.
Success.
It was
So
15.
you know the reason for this, and the reason for this is that as you said, when people die, mirrors can trap their souls, and so that's why they're covered with. Don't tick a box for that because that's reasonable common knowledge. Okay, and a lot of the places, a lot of the furniture's got drapes on it as well, and you see there is just she's Eleanor. She's just there on her own. Thank you. Come in. I have been at my wit's end. My servants have all left. They do not like this place. They say it gives them the term. I do not know the term. EBGBs. I'm not sure what that means.
I've heard of that one. It's a bit of an odd term.
They none of them stayed, and the last one, Mrs. Slocum, she just ran out, talking rubbish, saying that she could see him, and then she just ran away screaming. I think this building does weird things to people.
It's only a building.
I think it's the fog and the isolation. I was brought up in Manchester, and we had it was a buzzing town. We had the canals, and we had all the works, and we had all the factories. And this place actually is too quiet for me. Still, you must be hungry. I have no one here to help. I have no help. I'm happy to make serve you some food. It is slightly improprietous for you to be in a building with me, but I did not know who else to turn to.
That's okay. It's not a worry.
And she explains the situation there. So she gets some. She has some sandwiches. She makes some sandwiches and brings them up to you guys. And you're sitting there in the living room. Actually, in the drawing room. There we go. You're sitting in the drawing room. You see that?
Yes.
So the drawing room is they've got gas lights. There's no electricity here. Everything's driven by gas or candles. And actually, these are oil lanterns, and you can see this is black smoke. It's like coming out of the top. But the room is illuminated, and it keeps out the chill of the the fog. So, please, I thank you for coming. So, the reason I asked you to attend, my auntie, she passed away just a week ago. They said it was hysteria. He said hysteria because of her dancing and unholy practices, whatever that means. I know she was keen on doing seances and Ouija boards, and entertained in the past people with doing this. But really, I think that's a little far-fetched. But I'm concerned that there may be some of my distant cousins. There's a hair crab, sorry. He wishes to get his hands on the remnants of the estate. It is not the Schwarzglass Empire is not what it once was, but it is still salvageable. And you can see here there's a mirror in this room. Actually, that should have a shroud over it as well, but I couldn't get the ChatGPT art thing to do it. It's amazing that you won't get to do what you want it to do.
I'm just going to try and for you.
No, thank you very much. So, there we go. Oh. So it's I would ask you to use your skills you may have acquired looking at the occult, Mr. McKinney.
Yep.
To see if you can dispel this nonsense that the local coroner has said.
Yes, certainly. As I said, I look into it to help me with the storylines of the book, so I'm fairly well versed, and it's all a nice little bit of interesting hobby.
Thank you. I would appreciate that. The house is yours to stay in as you wish. I have my room. I do not wish, obviously, to be disturbed in my quarters. It will be totally improper.
Yes.
But at the moment, I'm beyond caring of what the neighbours think. They very rarely come here anyway. I did invite some over, but the invitations have all been politely declined.
Well, hopefully, once we've dispelled all this, they'll realise they were in the wrong, and hopefully we'll be able to have a buzzing social life again.
I would hope so, but as I said, this is not the scene that I like. Manchester was wonderfully vibrant, and I would love to go and see the lights of London and go to the Palladium, perhaps even see the Queen herself. Here she is, still in mourning for the Prince, despite all these years. And you all know that Prince Albert died of cholera, and Queen Elizabeth never quite got over it.
Sometimes grief is a long-standing thing to get over.
It is. Aunt had that issue. She told you the story of the family. Basically, the Schwarzes, Goethe, her husband, had died about 20 years ago, choking on a chicken bone. She had a son just after he had died, and that son was George, and George died of consumption at a very young age as an infant, and Auntie's never really got over that. Her mood darkened. I remember when I was young, she seemed always sad. I really, to be honest with you, had not much to do with her until I had this telegram stating that I was the beneficiary of the estate.
In your small amount of interaction, she must have thought very fondly of you.
I do not know. I think I must have been the same age as George. Maybe she thought we were linked in more than just blood. Maybe that's what she thought. I know she was always sad. And you have the feeling, if you look at the decor around this room, you get the impression that there was... is anybody here artistically inclined?
Nope.
Anybody got appraise skill?
I've got a reasonable appraise skill.
Okay, well, make an appraise roll for me. With a bonus dice.
No. With a bonus.
So you get 30.
30.
Okay, so you look around and you can see that the decor is a little dated. And a little bit ragged as well. The paper is starting, and some of it is peeling off a little bit. It really hasn't been maintained. And you look in the, you can see some of in the bookshelves. There's there is nothing which is relatively recent. Everything here is about, at least, you think probably at least 10 years old, if not older.
Yeah, it's worn. It's not like falling apart, but it's not in the best condition.
But there's nothing new here. That's what you can see.
Just check. I don't know if it was just for hard success or higher. Do I still put a tick next to the appraise on mine?
Put a tick next to it. Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Put a tick next to it.
Fantastic.
But you don't get a tick if you have to use luck to pass a skill. You don't get it then.
Of course. Yeah. No worries.
Okay. So he says, well, I mean, she's still lying in repose, my aunt, in her, in the front room, and you know it's the custom for people to lie, stay at home for some time, whilst mourning is done, whilst mourners can come. He said, I'm waiting for as many distant relatives as can come from Prussia to her funeral. Again, the thing that Victorians were scared of, weren't scared of dying, but they were scared of not being mourned after they died. They weren't scared of death, but they were scared of being forgotten. So I'm waiting for anyone who wishes to come. I have sent telegrams to members of our family in Russia. Even some of the Kaiser's distant relatives have been invited, but as of yet I know of no one who is coming. I will give this another week, and then we will need to proceed with the burial.
Well, I will certainly go and pay my respects at some point before the evening draws too late.
Okay. So you can go. You go to the. They say she died of hysteria, but I'm just not convinced. And whilst you think about what you're doing here, I'm just going to go for a wee.
Yep.
Without being invasive, I could probably look at the body. Obviously, as it is in lying, I wouldn't be desecrating a corpse, but I mean, I can just look and see if there's any visible face, etc. Because whilst he is saying he's working for the Inland Revenue, that's more like a specialist job because he's a physician, so he is still a physician. So I've got pretty good medicine and first aid.
Yeah. Well, so I'm only here just because obviously being family, not family, but early sponsors, it's sort of like close family friends. Yeah. So Marshall will go and pay respects, but you have a look over it, and then obviously you might be able to help confirm.
Well, I can always also speak to her and ask whether, how was she leading up to when she passed? Anything unusual that she said, acted, consumed?
Well, understanding the circumstances of exactly how she was found seems prudent as well.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you wish to go and see my aunt. I will take you to see her so you can pay your respects. She would have liked that. She was a very introverted person in the later years, so I gather. Most of her servants had fled or didn't work here, there was one who, out of loyalty to her, stayed but has now left. Said, wished to go to the colonies. Something about having bad memories of this house. I will take you. And they take you to the front room. And there, lying on a bed in a repose, you see the body of an elderly lady. Hair has been nicely done. She's wearing a white frock. She's lying in a repose position, which is the standard practice that people did to try and remember them after they died. Who's the physician in your group?
Me.
Could you make a medicine roll for me, please?
Yes. Hard success.
Okay, so you see her here. You see that she's got a slight rougey tint to her cheeks. And you look at her hands, which are outside, and you can see that the fingers, the fingertips are all, the fingers are all reddened, and the skin is peeling on the fingers as well.
I guess, would we know how long she'd been lying in repose?
Probably
Well,
about just over a week. So rigor mortis has set in.
Yeah.
But you know that rigor mortis, you would be very pale by now. She's got a slight rouge.
And there's
a slight redness to her cheeks still. And saying the fingers look like they do.
Could it just be makeup?
How did? Yeah, that's what I was about to ask. Has she been dressed, so to speak? Not physically clothes, but makeup.
It is not my practice. I think that's probably a good idea to do that. This is all new to me. I do not really know what to do. I think that is a good idea, and I will. And she says, I will do so and make her look more presentable because, and you know, she's got the skin tightness and the lips are starting to pull back slightly.
Would it help? If I understand you've got some concerns as to how she passed. Would you be happy to sit for a while and talk us through her final days, her behaviour, what she ate, see if there's anything that we can...
I wasn't here. I was summoned after she had died, and I came straight down.
I see.
I was told that she had died, and that her last wish was I was to be the sole beneficiary. And I came as quick as I could from Manchester. I took the express train down. But taking a cab from Watford Junction to here was difficult. In the last few miles, I actually had to walk myself because the cab drivers would not want to come here.
I understand. The reason I say is, after a certain period of time, if makeup's not been applied, I wouldn't expect there to be the redness in her face. She would normally be quite pale at this point, but so I agree the makeup would be nice for her
I think
her resting days. But it's slightly unusual that her face is still red. So it was just whether we could understand a little bit more about how she lived, see if there's anything I can come to the bottom with. As you're saying, you've got some concerns around how she passed, whether that's the truth or not. So,
well, she rarely left this building, so if there was a secret, it will be here.
It could be something to do with the living conditions, I guess. Are we obviously minus your quarters, of course? Are we okay to take a look around over the evening?
I feel free to do so. As I say, even if you can dispel this silly notion of a cult, I would be turning away from it. And you are a physician. That would be the local physician here was perfunctory, I gather, with his assessment. Which I think he just wished to be out as quickly as he could be.
Well, I'm happy to inspect her, obviously, of course, within whatever the limits would be, just to try and either confirm what's already been said or or see if there's anything amiss. Of course, it doesn't change the fact that she has unfortunately passed, but it can maybe shed some light as to what's happened here, or even help dispel these myths that are being recklessly thrown about against the house.
I would appreciate that.
I'd be happy to do that.
And if this seems to, if this is not the occult, which I'm sure it is not, those things are for the gullible. And I'm sorry, Mr. McKinney, but they are also for the people who read the penny specials like you write for. Then I think the authorities would have more of a thought that this may have been nefarious mechanisms. Herr Crab may well be responsible for this, if anybody is. But of course, she was getting old. She was almost 50, and she's had a difficult life.
These sorts of things will unfortunately shave years off people's lives. Not to worry, I'm more than happy to take a look at her for you.
Thank you very much.
If I may, when you arrived down from Manchester and met with the local authorities, did they happen to mention which room of the house she was in when she was found?
She was found in her bedroom.
Ah, okay.
I think we probably just check to clear up that she's not staying in said bedroom. I assume it would not be a common thing to do, would it, back then? They'd be staying in another room.
Yeah, I mean, this house will have a multitude of rooms. Normally you'll be teeming with staff. Think about, not quite the size of Downton Abbey, but something slightly smaller than Downton Abbey. So big house with many rooms.
A reasonable estate.
Reasonable estate. You expect a bevy of people, but it's now just one person in it. And in a lot of the areas may not have been used for a long time.
I've got some supplies with me, just sort of standard stuff. So I mean, I could probably take a look while they take a look at the room.
So the local constable said that she was found on her bed, fully clothed, sprawled forward. Her eyes were open wide, and they assume hysteria, as they do. It is the male affliction to put everything down from the females to hysteria.
Mm-hmm.
So just so I'm understanding, she was found face down on the bed?
Yeah, fully clothed.
Yeah,
fully clothed. So they said.
I mean, immediately the first thing that comes to mind is the heart, not so much hysteria. Hysteria, there'd be signs of more signs of distress. I would suggest you folk take a look at the room, see if there's any signs of distress, scratch marks, normally corners of doors, things like that, bite marks. That's really where hysteria goes. This sounds to me, at least initially, without having a proper look, is potentially a unfortunate case of a heart attack.
Well, that would make me feel better if that was the case. Not knowing that Herr Crab would be breathing down my back to try and get what's left of this estate. This house and estate that's left is still worth a fair amount. I have not seen the will as of yet, but I would have assumed that there was a fair packet associated with it. Mama used to say that Auntie used to be a very happy person, very loving person, but it's all changed, and even Mama had not had much to do with her for many years. Mama unfortunately passed away with consumption as well. Consumption is basically tuberculosis, which is rife in Victorian times.
Yep.
Is the reading of the will scheduled in the near future, or are you still waiting to find out?
After the funeral, we will bury her in the mausoleum in the grounds. I gather her husband and her son are buried there too.
Okay, well, I assume that the rest would probably be going. Someone would be going to inspect the room while I inspect the body.
Okay, so you inspect the body. So you've done a medicine roll. What are you looking for specifically on the body?
Well, first of all, whatever the signs of hysteria would have been back there, whether there's anything that alludes to that, and then also.
Well, her eye, everything she has been, her face has been sort of rechanged to make this sort of less dramatic. Rigor mortis has started to set in. Let's say there is a redness to her cheeks, which you found slightly odd, and the desquamation of the fingers. Who's with you when you do this?
Not sure. It depends if anyone wanted to come with.
Well, I know the Marshal obviously wanted to go pay respect, so I suppose it could be him.
I would assume you've done that first. It's not, this isn't.
What's Alfred doing?
It's getting unsafe.
Alfred's there as sort of, you can act as almost like a manservant, Alfred, if you wish.
Yeah, so I'll just be calling to pull different various things from my briefcase, I guess. But I wouldn't do anything like invasive. It would just be more, you're saying, despite the rigor mortis, a closer inspection of the redness on the cheeks, hands, wrists, the extremities, that sort of thing.
So you made a hard roll. So you've seen what you can see with what you're doing, but you're on your own. So what's Alfred doing?
Yeah, sure. So Alfred wouldn't see it as his place unless specifically asked to be involved necessarily in this part of things. He will be basically doing as asked. I think there was mention about preparing dinner or something like that, which if he'd been asked to do that, he would start doing that kind of thing.
Okay, so you can go down to the kitchen. So you go down to the kitchen and it is cold. There is a large central stove, which is cold. There is a dust in this room. There's stale bread there, but there are slices of sausages hanging from the ceiling, and various fruits, vegetables and herbs which are not perished yet. There is flour there, so you can actually certainly cook something up. There is no heat. You'd have to fire up the stove. And there is a coal bunker there, which is actually full. So you can actually this is in these old kitchens. You had a great big hobs. You had a central fire, and you had multiple ovens and hobs associated with it.
Yeah, sure. With permission of the lady of the house, he would begin working on that.
And you say there's herbs and spices there. Could you just make an intelligence roll for me, please?
Oh, intelligence, eh?
Yeah. 28. That's pretty good. You can see lots of bags of salt. Big bags. It's like 20-pound bags of salt there.
Okay.
More than you would have thought would for a kitchen this size. You've worked in other kitchens before. And you've seen other kitchens, and there seems to be quite a lot of them. There is a storeroom behind the kitchen, and there may be some things in there as well if you want to go and have a look.
Yeah, let's see if there's anything else that can. Yeah, sure.
So there are a few pots and pans, but in there, could you just make a? Actually, no, you'll be able to find them if you're looking because there's not that much there. You can see a box filled with candles. What is unusual is these candles are black with a black wick.
Oh. Okay. Is that something that he has any idea about?
Well, they're candles.
They're candles, okay.
But they're black, and most candles are tallow and white. Most wicks are white. This is slightly unusual, but these upper class people are a bit eccentric.
They are a bit strange. With the salt in the kitchen, is it? I assume it's fairly standard, like cooking, so it's not something that you'd use to put on a driveway or anything like that.
No, it's some of it's rock salt, or some of it's been milled, but they're just big bags. Actually, most of it's relatively fine, but these are 20-pound bags of salt, so there's about 10 bags of the salt this side, which is a lot. You'd expect a lot of salt, but not that much.
Okay.
And you find smoked hams and see cans of food in there as well. So there's enough for you to make a meal with if you wish to do so.
Yeah, he will get to preparing dinner. It's not something he's amazing at, but he's competent.
What is your background? You're a navvy, so you're not used to cooking. What would a cookery be? What do you reckon?
Well, yeah, sorry, the occupation, because obviously he's a doorman, and that's the closest thing that matched that I could kind of find.
Yeah.
So what's my best thing for cooking? I'm very good at climbing.
Yeah, not going to do it really, is it? Okay. Okay, so just make an intelligence roll, but with a penalty dice.
Okay, sorry everyone, you're getting poisoned.
74. Okay, so you do prepare food, but it's a bit rank. You've got tinned peaches with tuna.
And if you've got this much salt, you clearly want a lot of salt on your food.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So you're preparing the food. So Dr. Shaw is examining the body. Are you taking any specimens or anything, or are you just examining her?
I'm just trying to. Oh, I haven't really gone to that extreme, I think, but I'm just thinking more along the lines of because it was I don't know if when it was in the 1890s, carbon monoxide. They started testing for carbon monoxide, didn't they?
You wouldn't have the facilities to do that. That'll be a blood test. Okay, so you're doing what you're doing. So what is Eddie doing?
I will be following Marshall because I've not had any experience of anything occult or mysterious, so I'm curious to see how this differs from the logical.
Okay, so Marshall, where are you going?
I'll mute myself. Didn't it go to have a look where she was found?
Okay, so you go to the master bedroom.
Yes.
And you enter the master bedroom. Again, the room the shutters are drawn. It is dark. You're going to have to take a light with you, or light the gas lamps, or the oil lamps, which are there, and you can do so. So in the master bedroom, you do see a large super king size bed in the middle of the room. There are. Can you just make a spot hidden roll for me, please? Both of you.
Yep. Hidden.
So Marshall gets a 33, gets a success. That ticks a box. And Eddie gets a extreme success. You tick a box. So Marshall, you look around this room. You see a pile of clothes that have been neatly folded up on the floor. There is a dress, and there are shoes next to it. The bed itself has been made again. There are large wardrobes on the wall. There is a mirror in here. Again, this is covered. There's artwork on the wall. There's beautiful glass work there. There is a glass vase which is made with orange and silver patterns twining through it. There is faded wallpaper with the pastel type motifs on the wall. I'll come to you in a second, Eddie. So you see the clothes on the floor.
Yeah. Are they in a place where you would expect them to be? Like, are they sort of near a wardrobe?
They've been folded up and put there.
Yeah, what I mean is like, is they sort of in a random place, or is it like they were being folded to put into a chest of drawers? For example?
They've been just folded up and deposited on top of a almost like an ottoman. Clearly, Frau Schwartz has been changed into a funeral shroud.
Yeah.
You can just make a reasonable, educated guess that this may be the clothes that she was wearing at that time, and they have not yet been disposed of.
Yeah. Or is there anything else that sort of is out of the ordinary?
In here, so you got a standard success. That's what you see. So with the shoes, you can looking at the shoes and the dress, you can see there is mud on the hem of the dress and on the shoes, which is dried.
Now we look more at that mud. Basically, is it just like mud that could have just come from the garden, or is it sort of like darker than expected, or you know what I mean? It comes from a different area.
Make a natural world roll for me.
It's dirt.
No, it's dirt, but it's dried, and it's dried there. There's a cabinet with some medicines on the side. Eddie, with a extreme success, what you find? You find a bottle, which is the top is off and there's liquid in it. You in the bedside cabinet, you find a diary. And there is a large wardrobe there full of clothes. You open the wardrobe, and with an extreme success, when you open the cupboard of the wardrobe, you feel the whole wardrobe move slightly.
Ooh. Can I just push or pull or whatever it is to try and make that movement a bit more intentional?
Okay.
Once I feel it,
easy enough to do, and you pull it, and the wardrobe comes forward very easily, and you see a door behind it.
A hidden door. Marshall, what do you make of that?
Well, these old buildings are known for servant passages and stuff like that. I wouldn't be surprised if it's something that originally had an ordinary origin in life, but you never know. Might be worth checking out at some point.
Certainly. The opened bottle I found, did that have a label on it? Was it just alcohol or medicine? Or
do you smell it?
Sure, I'll get a little sniff.
Okay, could you make a chemistry or medicine roll for me, please?
Chemistry it is. Oh, and it's still a failure.
No, you never change, no matter what game system we use.
Nope.
You can't identify it.
Yeah, interesting. But I did find a diary, so perhaps we'll find a clue in final thoughts.
Okay. What, do you want to read the diary? It's going to take a while.
Yes.
It'll take a while to do so.
Can I just go to the last entry and just have a read of that quick?
So the last entry, it's in German.
Okay, that's handy because I also speak German.
Okay, and if you look at the last entry, the handwriting is. Could you make a? What role would that be? A psychology roll for me, please.
Oh boy, this will go well. No.
Okay, so the last entry is quite scratchy. I'm sure Albert, and it says I'm sure in German. I'm sure George is still here. He calls for me. He calls for me in my waking hours. I will go and see. I will look through the window. I will have my boy back. And that's what the last entry is.
I will say to Marshall, this last entry is rather cryptic, and then I will translate it for him.
Well, as Eleanor was saying, she regretted her son dying, so bit odd, but at least it's on par with what we know.
Out of interest, the wardrobe that moved, that had the door behind it, was that off to one of the sides of the bed, or was it at the foot?
Yeah, are you there, Ian?
Sorry. Yeah, it's on the side wall. Beg your pardon.
Okay, so it was off to one of the sides of the bed.
Yeah.
Okay.
It just looks like a standard door.
How far can we open it?
Yeah, should we crack it open?
So you open the door opens easy enough, and inside you see a nursery. There's an empty cot in there. You can see there's something on the floor. When you're not in the room yet. Around the cot, there are candles on the floor. There is a large mirror on the wall. This is not covered. On the wall, this is a child's nursery. You see the shelves, and there's toy soldiers, and there are little statues, and there's also a music box there as well.
This seems a little unusual, right, Marshall?
Well, for normal folk, yes. I mean, we knew that she was interested in the occult, and this is pretty normal occult style things. But yeah, it's not within the realms of normal.
And the house itself is very quiet, and all you can hear really is the ticking of a large grandfather clock. It's in the main foyer.
How fresh does all the bits look on the floor? Like could it have been like the same night she might have died, or was it?
You going into the room?
Tentatively.
So you go into the room. So you see the cot is in the middle of the room, and around it on the floor, you can see this dust, white dust on the floor, which is a circle all around it, and at various points around the circle, you can see the stubs of of half stubs of candles, black, with a blackened wick.
Yeah, I will say to Eddie that although obviously this occult stuff, it's more of an interest of mine rather than a belief. But from what I've read and understand, is you don't want to mess with anything like symbols and markings on the floors. There's a belief that if you do, it can unleash evil spirits and stuff like that. So try not to disturb anything.
Right. Well, since we're here, at the very least, would you mind giving me a hand? We may as well cover this mirror while we're here.
Yep. Yeah, I fully suspect this mirror was not covered because she probably didn't know it was in here.
I suspect, yes, but we should.
So there's a chest of drawers there. You can pull them open, and there was a sheet in there.
Yeah, we'll just pull one out.
Yeah. Okay.
We should probably tell the others what we found.
Yep, I will pull the door to as we leave. Not if there's like a latch or something, I'll make sure I don't latch it, but it will be pulled all back to like it was.
Okay. Okay. So, do you go back down to the lounge area?
Yes, I think that's probably a good idea.
So as you get there, just as Alfred is bringing a steaming tray of poached apricots and tuna.
That smells
foreign.
It's my very best attempt, sir.
Well,
Marshall will try a bit, and then how much salt has he put in it? Is it like recalling of? Oh my god!
It is at least 10% less than a lethal dose.
So it is
so don't have to help
very
it.
Heavily salted. It is almost difficult to eat.
Marshall will do his best sort of be polite, because he's one of these sort of, he doesn't really want to offend people, and he's yes, it's yes, it's very good, and the nearest plant pot will end up with something being tucked behind the plant.
The plants begin to wilt.
The plants do wilt. Eleanor takes a sip and she plants and says, "I'm sorry, I'm still full of melancholia, and I feel I have no appetite for your food. I'm sorry, Mr. James. I apologise, but I do not feel I can eat this."
Oh, of course, ma'am. There's no need for the apology.
Yeah, just can you call out Deliveroo or something?
Tell me, Alfred, is this a local cuisine from your parts?
Well, it's what we had to hand. So usually the wife handles the cooking, but I've been around kitchens often enough.
I see. Okay. Well, thank you for your effort. It has been an experience.
Of course, sir. I shall I shall prepare for breakfast.
So
Delightful.
So the evening it's getting dark outside. It's got dark outside now, and in this area, when it's dark, it's completely pitch. The fog is still there, so outside it's almost like you're just floating through a void. And the sound itself.
Just out of,
sorry, say yeah.
so I was going to say, I have interest. While we've been eating this delightful meal, will the others have relayed any of the things they found in the room, or are we leaving that for a separate meeting afterwards?
Yes. Once the
Eleanor asks you, well, what have you found? Anything that can dispute this occult nonsense that these people talked about?
Well, we seem to have found some oddities that may corroborate the story, but nothing certain. We found what looks to be a nursery behind a door, hidden behind a wardrobe.
A nursery?
It's rather odd. Candles and such strewn about the place. Black candles, of all things, as well.
Alfred, did you say anything to that?
Yes, yeah. Well, I'll ask about what is the purpose behind the black candles. I've never seen a candle quite like that. There are more in the kitchen or in the storeroom behind the kitchen.
I don't believe I'm familiar with black candles either, other than perhaps some sort of novelty. How peculiar.
Well, it might not be too difficult to ascertain what they're made of. It's not particularly my specialty, more around food and perishables, but I can take a look and probably have a reasonable assumption as to what they've been made of. People like all sorts.
So, Alfred, do you purloin any of those candles, or you could go and get one if you wish?
Marshall would probably know, wouldn't he? Because he always is interested in the occults, about the fact they're supposed to absorb negativity.
Well, make an occult roll.
Occult, there it is. Success.
Okay. Well, black candles, maybe just black candles. You know that candles are often used in some of these rituals that people cast and people do. But on their own, it doesn't mean that much.
Okay. This newfound technology of Google failed me.
How about your examination, Edgar? Did you find anything of note?
Not really. Nothing further. I have some assumptions as to what it could be, but it's all very modern and early days. I can't really confirm any of these different potential diagnoses without specialist equipment, and I don't have that to hand. But I have a few things in my briefcase to test the basics, probably more around food and consumables as opposed to anything for a body. But I would say it is still very peculiar. The redness in the face really shouldn't be there, so there is definitely a I'd like to say I'd be pretty confident to rule out hysteria, at least initially. Wrongdoing, probably not. She's saying if she's found face first in the bed, it does sound like potentially something else. Maybe even again consuming something that she shouldn't have consumed. But it's all again, it's very very difficult for me to say in the current circumstances. It's definitely saying if you found this room that wasn't known of, there's definitely things to look in here, I'd say.
Oh well,
I'd be interested to take a look at the candles though, and if there was anything else you found in the room.
So Alfred, you can go and fetch a candle if you wish.
Yeah, he certainly will.
Or a box of them. Okay, so you bring the candles. And they are black. They have a slight sheen to them. They feel slightly odd under the touch. And they have a black wick.
Are they sort of typical candelabra type diameter, or are they much girthier than that?
No, they're about 8 inches long and about an inch wide. So Eddie, you have a look at these as well then. Could you make a chemistry roll for me, please?
Sure. I might get somewhere with this time.
Nope,
never mind. I can do chemistry, I promise.
It's a candle.
It's a candle. It's a black candle.
You've got 4 candles.
Would any of I was saying would the others during the conversations have mentioned that bottle, the bottle that was found with the mystery liquid in, that again Eddie failed to identify?
Yes, they would have done.
Yeah, I'd imagine I would have probably brought the diary, and I would imagine that bottle back down with me. I would think.
Okay.
Well, I think that's potentially something that Edgar would be interested in, is the bottle, trying to figure out if it's liquid, because he does that saying he's got a few lotions or potions, whatever you want to call it, in his briefcase.
Dr. Shaw, just make a medicine roll for me.
Yep.
Oh, just.
Oh,
well,
just.
You smell it, and you just dab a finger in it and just touch the end of your tongue, and it has a distinctive tint of opium.
Interesting. And he's going to crack open his book, which he definitely doesn't actually have an 1890s copy of a physician book to hand. Because there was a bit in here about opium. Well, there was something about opium in here. Let me take a look while you all talk amongst yourselves.
Well, I shall spend a little more time reading the diary, but I shall go back to front, so from the most recent backwards.
Okay, so if we're going backwards, it doesn't make a lot of sense because you're going backwards, but she talks about his song draws him to me. He calls to me. George will be back. It is so painful losing my son. But is he lost? And that's going backwards.
Yeah, once I get to the point where
after about 4 months after that, it's more sort of day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. That sort of tipping point.
And it's running a séance for the local people. And she has people coming from around the region to her house for a séance to commune with the spirits.
Interesting. Well, once I find that sort of tipping point, the events either side of that sort of what I discern to be the point at which the tone seems to change, I'll read forward with a bit more. So it's about the last 4 months.
So basically, she keeps talking about he calls to me. His song calls him back to me too. I know he's there. He's through the window. And you can see now, if you're going backward, going from earlier, coming forwards, you can see the handwriting is a very neat Prussian cursive script, and then it becomes more and more spidery. And then she
Well,
talks.
yeah,
And then she talks about, I need to call him. I think I may have the knowledge of the ancients, may be of help here. And that was one reference that was in there only.
Okay. Yeah, all of these sort of tidbits of information, I shall, as I'm translating them and reading them forward, I will let everyone know the progression of the train of thought.
So basically, it sounds like somebody who gradually went mad.
Yeah, that'd be my guess.
Also, I'm just thinking with the opium. So I was reading through books. I guess it's a question of whether this had been mixed with anything else other than opium, which, to make things more affordable, people would go to, I guess, less savoury individuals to get this sort of thing. And then on top of that, it sounds like
opium was quite readily available.
Was it? I thought it was.
It's quite readily available, and actually, cocaine was brought into place to help people get off opium. And heroin was created by Bayer in the early 20th century as a non-addictive form of opium. Yeah, right. That worked well.
Well, there's nothing unusual about it. Just very much standard. It didn't seem off or.
So people used it for pain as an abuse substance as well. Obviously, the China in the Far East was effectively drugged into existence and into submission by the British Empire in the Opium Wars. Every day's a school day for you guys, isn't it?
It really is. It really is.
So, and so Eleanor's in there. So, and this bowl's just next to her. She hasn't touched it. So, I'm confused. So, she is doing something with the occult. So they may be right. There was hysteria that killed my aunt.
Well, I don't think we'll be able to say for certain, but it does seem that at least she was continuing to dabble right up until the end.
Or again, it could be the treatment of the opium affected her faculties, and unfortunately she partook in too much. It could be one or the other, to one extreme to the other. It's most likely going to be something in the middle, and we've always said most of us around the table, I'd like to think, probably don't believe in such silly things. It's likely it was part of a side effect of affecting her mind from the opium. These things are quite common, unfortunately. People get hooked. We all have our vices, and unfortunately opium is quite a challenging vice.
It is fortunately I'm of the Methodist persuasion, and we do not partake of such evil vices. Well, if she has died of occult hysteria, unholy hysteria, whatever that may be, but then maybe my life is not under threat from Herr Crab then. That is some relief at least.
Well, I'm glad, if nothing else, we were able to provide you with some peace of mind.
Thank you. But I still am not convinced. There's some evil air in this place. It makes you feel ill at ease, this house. Maybe it's just my silly humours that coming across that way. And say the silence I find oppressive.
Maybe we can spend some more time tomorrow. Have a look around. Let me have a look at this room and some better lights. Maybe even we should potentially check these candles. I'm not saying we start doing any rituals or anything silly like that, but burning one of these candles to see what it's made of, whether there's something inside, whether it's slightly unusual, slightly eccentric. We can try the little things. See if anything
Yep.
gives us a bit more light as to what's happened.
Yes, it
That's
is.
good.
I am feeling fatigued. As it is dark and there's little to do here, I may retire for the evening. You gentlemen, the house is yours to do with what you wish to try and find out what's happened to my dear aunt. I will bid you good night. Mr. James, I will tend to myself. And she departs the room.
Has she indicated what rooms the others are to stay in?
Yeah, she's given you some. There were meant it was about 10 bedrooms here.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So you can go and you basically take your pick of bedrooms. Well, Alfred, when you are going to prepare the bedrooms for the others,
yep.
One of the bedrooms itself, you open the door and inside is actually not a bedroom. And most of the other 9, the other 9 are bedrooms. The beds are made but dusty. The rooms are not being used for a long time. You find one of them has been converted into almost like a study. A workshop. There is a table, which is a big oak table. On it, you see a alembic. And you see a small paraffin burner. You see equipment there. You see supplies of bottles. You see some bags of wax, and you see bags of salt in here as well. There is a chair, and you can see there are some burn marks on the table. There are also bottles along the shelf behind it as well.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so I don't think Alfred would see it as his place to really investigate that, but he would certainly come back to the gentleman and let them know that's not a bad place to look if they were looking for any more information on what may have happened. As a room that looks frequently used.
Yes, there's no dust in that room, and interestingly, there's no mirrors in that room either.
It may hold further clues.
I think we can afford to take a quick look before we retire.
Okay, so who goes up to that room?
Yeah, I mean Eddie will go.
Okay, do you all go?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go,
Why not?
So you go up to this room, and inside it's a tight squeeze for you all to get in. There is a large sort of desk, like a work table desk, and it's like almost like a small laboratory. There was a little paraffin burner. There's an alembic. There are flasks there. There are copper bottom containers. You can see there are piles of white wax, tallow wax. There's a bag of salt in here. On the table there is a bottle containing, which is a dark bottle containing a liquid, which has got a stopper on the top, and also there were bottles along the back as well. On a shelf behind. There are burn marks on the table, and you see also candle moulds.
So the source of the candles may be found. Can I go and have a look at some of these bottles along the back shelves and see if they've got any labels or identification on them?
They do. They have a label that says silver nitrate.
Oh, mirrors. Interesting. Are they all marked the same?
There's about 5 on the bottles. These are clear bottles that say silver nitrate on. The bottom of the table is a dark coloured bottle.
Ah, okay. Let's have a little look at that one.
Okay. And it feels quite heavy, the bottle. Are you going to pour any of the liquid out, or what are you going to do with it?
Yeah, if there's a flask or a beaker or something, I can pour a small quantity into.
So you don't actually need to make a chemistry roll for this because even you can pass this, and a little bit of quicksilver falls out, a bit of mercury.
Ah. Well, yeah, it certainly leads to reason. I'm not sure what mirrors and candles have in common, though.
There's a bag of salt in here, £20 bag of salt, and there's the wax candles. And as you can see, there's the stuff on table to, you think probably to melt the wax, and there are wicks there which are white. As also,
is the wax white as well?
The wax is white as well, and there is also a what seems a bit odd. There is a container which is full of what looks like coal dust.
Ah, so perhaps that is being used to colour the candles. Strange. Well, I will sort of be airing my thoughts as I'm wandering around so everyone can know what I'm thinking as I'm thinking.
Dr. Shaw, could you make a medicine roll for me, please?
Jeez, I am on mute. I need to unmute myself. What was that again? I missed it. It cut out.
Make a medicine roll for me.
Medicine, yep. 43. Regular success.
Regular success. So you go back to your almanac book that you have, your medical book, and something just tickles your curiosity, and you see that one of the features of mercury poisoning is reddening of the fingers, desquamation of the fingers, and a blush to the cheeks. But it's also known to cause disorders of the brain as well.
So somehow this has got into a system. So maybe worth us checking the sorry, did you say this was the bottle that you took from downstairs? Was this in the room that you found that you tested this?
Oh, so the mercury was in the dark glass bottle on the desk.
And that's probably about a pint of mercury in there.
Wow, that's going to be really heavy.
Yeah.
I told you it's heavy.
It might be worth maybe pouring out some of that bottle with the opium in to see if there's any potential that there's traces of mercury in that.
Well, I was going to say that actually he thinks a potential way for the mercury to get into Eleanor is if she's obviously all the stuff here is able to make candles. We've got the yellow tallow, you've got the candle mold, you've got the wicks, and we've got
the air from burning
black
candles.
Yes. So I'm going to say that we best not burn any of these black candles.
Well, I suspect the pigment of the candles is coming from the coal dust. The mercury and the silver nitrate seems to be related more to the glass industry and mirror industry that she was
working in. Yeah.
But you found the mercury in the black glass bottle. Is it an actual black glass, or is it like black stained from the use of the charcoal dust?
Well, I mean, you're welcome to take a look.
Should you just buff the glass, right? Just buff the glass a bit, see if the coal dust comes away.
I'll stick my little finger just inside the rim and sort of see
of the mercury bottle. It's a brown bottle of mercury.
Oh, okay. I thought it was black.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, there is a bucket with what looks like coal dust, soot or black coal dust in it. That's in the floor.
So are we thinking then that perhaps in the pursuit of her art, she accidentally gave herself heavy metal poisoning?
Certainly not with, beyond the realms of possibility.
I mean, it aligns with what I've seen of the body that was unusual. So I think there's no shadow of a doubt that it seems unfortunate that she, at least some part of the cause of death was mercury poisoning. But as to how she got this in the system, whether it be the candles, whether it be consumption in error, or again tainting other things. It takes a very small amount of mercury to do great damage. Really not too sure at this stage. Warrants further investigation.
If ingested by small amounts over a long period of time, do you think that might give her symptoms of the hysteria that everyone thinks that she died
Stop reading Google.
I'm not. Out of character, I do know that mercury poisoning can do that. It's in character.
You're an
it's
author.
questioning it.
You're an author.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Out of character, I know it does. So in character, I'm trying to sort of question it.
Given what Dave said earlier, I think he would say he would have relayed that anyway to you, that it can affect the mind. So yeah, it's without a shadow of a doubt there's definitely some sort of mercury poisoning here. But as to how this has got into a system, I think this is where you all would be probably quite satisfied to say that's the cause of death. I think it's always that the method of how the death was applied or came about is also quite important to make sure there was no wrongdoing. For all we know, she's consumed mercury. Was it someone else poisoned her? Was it that she's done this herself accidentally? Those things are going to take some time for us to look into.
I mean, it could even just be proximity. She worked in this industry. Fair enough, she wasn't on the factory floor, but she's going to be constantly exposed to these chemicals.
Or would many people at this business have also passed from mercury poisoning? We can check those. We probably could check those records at the coroner's office.
Make a intelligence roll.
Intelligence?
Yeah.
Oh wow, terrible.
You wouldn't know. Wouldn't know.
I mean, better place to tell you.
Just as a point of order, the reason in Alice in Wonderland, the Mad Hatter was called the Mad Hatter because people who made hats got psychosis from and delirium from mercury poisoning. That's why they were. That's why it was called the Mad Hatter.
Didn't know that.
No, can't say as I did.
Still learning.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
In fact, Luton Town Football Club are called the Hatters because they used to make hats there. In which Luton's not that far from Ayr St Lawrence. Just a little bit of trying to tie it all together.
They're all rubbish at football because of mercury poisoning.
Exactly that.
Finally, they have a valid excuse.
So, have you? So there's little more in this room. Otherwise, apart from this room is an empty shell. You can see the equipment has been used. There is soot on the bottom of the some of the receptacles and the alembics, but there's little else in here. So there are bottles of silver nitrate as well along the walls. What that's for, you're not sure. But the night is getting on now. You can continue your examination of the house, or you could retire for the night.
Well, I think we've had a reasonably productive day. I think we can afford to retire for the evening.
Okay. Alfred, what are you going to do? So the gentlemen retire to separate rooms, as is their wont. What are you going to do?
Mm-hmm.
Alfred would basically just do his duty, so he would tidy or clean up or whatever needed doing,
Okay.
And then find a room somewhat close quartered to theirs, should he be needed.
Okay. So it's a very comfortable room. So you take one of the decent rooms, not in the servants' quarters. Why would you have that? And the night passes. There is a scream. You're all bolt awake. There's a scream coming from Eleanor's room, and I will stop there.
Go to the screen.
Oh,
Oh no! Oh, this is a good one. I'm enjoying this.
It has to be a slow pace.
I was about to say I like the pacing.
Yeah, me too.
But I'm
So this is going to be all theatre. By the way, I'm not going to do battle maps. This is all going to be theatre of the mind, just with pictures.
Yeah.
Just with pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And
Sounds good.
yeah, I was not quite sure. I sort of I ran this by my daughter the other day. She thought I was horrible. So it's changed quite a lot since then. So
I was gonna say, oh, good, we're in for a treat then.
oh yeah. But you are rudely awoken by a scream coming from Eleanor's room.
How blood curdling is it?
Enough to wake you up.
Yeah.
And I will stop at that point. And let you cogitate on that, and on the neuropsychiatric side effects of mercury poisoning, and the effects of bereavement and melancholia.
Yes.
Okay, I will stop there then, unless you wish to say anything else. And then I'd like to... Oh, so who's doing the recording? I'm not doing the recording. Somebody else is doing the recording.
I did the recording, and when you said I'll stop there, I hit